Elliot, many companies are getting breached, correct? Yes?
Absolutely. Enormous numbers of them, more and more every day.
More and more, and the ones that aren't getting breached probably don't know that they have been breached, which that's another issue altogether. But here's the situation. When they get breached, they have to go through the legal process to determine whether they're indemnified or not, what's involved, and can they prove their ability to be indemnified?
Absolutely. It's a matter of you have to look at 3 different cases with your data when you have a breach situation. You have to go to court with your lawyers to prove what your current status is and whether you had possession, custody, and control, and or any of those 3 of the data itself at what time under what conditions. And then at the next level, once you say those definitions in the court of law, then you have to prove how well can you get the data back with possession, custody, and control. Do you have it? Does somebody else have it that you know you can get it from? Does somebody else have it that you can't get it from and you have no way to go back and get it from them? These are the things you have to prove in a court of law. And the problem is none of the security tools that we see comprehensively give you those answers when the lawyer gets to the courtroom.
How much do the lawyers know about the information they have access to answer those 3 issues of possession, what were the other 2? Possession,
custody, and control.
Okay.
And the issue here is that when IT security practitioners typically look at solution sets and technology to use to protect data, they're not thinking along those terms. They're not looking at, can I pull these terms and these proof points out of the technology? What's more, the only times they really engage their lawyer teams is when they're looking at the tools to see if they meet regulatory compliance and they're not breaking anything, or after the fact when they've had the breach and needed the lawyers back again. So they're not really looking in evaluation of the tool sets whether they can get this data into those categories and under these statutes. And what does it mean when actually a breach happens and now the lawyer has to come back in and say, well, did we have possession, custody, and control? And if we did, what's the state of it? And those tools are not giving them those answers.
So what this sounds like, and some great advice I've heard from CISOs is, as you read stories about breaches, you yourself should ask yourself, how fast could we respond to such a situation like that? It sounds the story that you're saying is not just how can we respond to a situation like that to secure environment, but how fast can we get possession, custody, and control information to our lawyers? Should that be another exercise they should do?
Yeah, and that's the issue here, because usually this only comes up and they try to categorize it that way after the fact. After a breach has happened, when they're in the court, now they have to help the lawyers figure that out. And the stuff is not categorized that way or even visualized that way. So when you say possession, what does that mean in the way you're dispersed across cloud? When you say you have custody, what does that mean about data residence on all the devices that you're working with? And when you say control, well, it's on those data devices in your data center across cloud continuum. How much control do you have over that data? And if you can't define clearly all those things, you're not going to pass the statutes, and you're going to find yourself liable, indemnified for the breach.
So what I'm hearing is 2 action items for both vendors and companies that need to secure in their environment that could be susceptible to breaches. Vendors of looking to deliver that information, possession, custody, and control. And for the people who are working with their legal teams, improve your relationship with their legal team, yes?
Yes, absolutely. Not only improve your relationship with your legal team, but work with them to understand if you're going to deploy a new way to use the data, are you going to be able to react appropriately under the wrong conditions or the right conditions and be able to help that lawyer help you? Because if you don't have all these things in place, doing this after the fact already means you did not have control.